that they disapprove of their handling of the budget debate. That's 13 points worse than President Obama's rating on the issue, according to an ABC News Washington Post poll. Joining us now is former Montana Congressman Denny Rehberg. Denny is a member of the Tea Party. Denny, welcome. It's good to speak with you.
Good evening, John. Actually, I'm not a member of the Tea Party. There was a Tea Party caucus in Congress. There's no such thing as the Tea Party.
You were a member of the Tea Party.
But it stands for taxed it up already, and I think the majority of Americans do believe in the Tea Party concept. They think they're taxed enough already.
What do you make of what's going on in Washington over the last 24 hours?
Well, the problem is they both painted themselves in the corner, so it's going to be very difficult to come back out of. Certainly the Republicans are taking much of the blame right now, but every time the Democrats take the hard line where they say, no way, our way or the highway, we're not going to compromise, it hurts them a little bit as well. And so both parties are suffering as a result. I think the presidency, once again, is going to suffer as a result of his actions. And ultimately, there's going to have to be some face-saving. They're going to have to open the government up again. My prediction is the Republicans will have to give in eventually because the pressure every day will mount. But I think they're making a real message, and the message is Obamacare will fail. There are those that say, why don't you just let it fail under its own weight? Well, that would not be good government. That's not responsible on the part of any public administrator. They have to do everything they possibly can to point out to the American public and get attention any way they can that this will fail. It will destroy our healthcare system as we know it. It will affect our economy. And so far, they haven't seemed to have caught enough attention of people that matter, especially those in the Senate and the presidency. So they're using this as their way of making that statement.
Right.
But
they can't.
eventually, government will open back up.
Right. Let me just take these 2 points. So you believe that the House Republicans will eventually give in. How long will they wait?
Well, it all depends on how long the public sticks with them as far as not applying pressure. You know, every day that goes by, let's use the Small Business Administration. You've got a lot of small businesses out there that need loans. Well, that processing stops when the government shut down. And the problem is you don't just open up the government and it's business as usual. Loan applications have piled up on the desk. Do they handle the ones that were oldest first, or they try and prioritize which are the more important? It's going to be a mess. And so, you know, that's just one small example of where the federal government affects individual lives in the economy, but you can multiply that 10, 20, 100-fold throughout all the federal government. So as people start getting affected, there will be more pressure applied to the Republican congressman to go ahead and sign a clean CR. But we're not there yet.
I suppose that they're already feeling some of that pressure right now, but you talk about face saving. How do they save face? Well,
you know, frankly, they're right in their message, and that is Obamacare is not supported by the majority of Americans. They want changes, and they put proposals forward. They've tried to compromise. They came up with a solution of delay for a year. They're trying to individually fund some of the government, like Veterans Affairs or the National Park, and they're being met with a stone wall. And I think it's hurting the Democrats right now, and it's hurting the president. So until such time as there's enough pressure to open
it's a
the
law.
government,
I mean, it was passed by the Congress. You know, disagreeing with it is one thing. Being able to pass, to defeat it and bring something else back is a whole other thing. I mean, I don't quite understand how this is supposed to work.
Well, you know, what's interesting about it is somebody has spread the rumor that every law is sacrosanct. We change laws every day. That's what Congress does.
But they don't have
their
the
responsibility
votes
to do the oversight and make the changes.
They haven't had the votes to change.
Well, they don't have the votes at this time. Well, they might. You never know. And so, you know, that's why they're putting various proposals together. Frankly, I carried the first legislation to defund Obamacare in the new Congress in 2011 when we got the majority. I was the chairman of the committee, so I did it as a first action because we were told in changing the majority within the House that that's what the people of America wanted. And so, frankly, I don't think the Democrat Senate and the President is listening to the kinds of changes necessary
So shut down the government.
to make our health care system better.
So shut down the government.
Again, that was not the Republicans' choice. The President was not willing to come to the table. I heard one of your prior interviews talk about compromise. There is no compromise. When Harry Reid says he's not going to consider any other solution, when the president says he's not going to negotiate, where's the compromise in that? They're the ones that have made it very difficult to try and find an adequate solution.
Right, you tried to defund it one of the first times. What, it's been tried 45 times in the House? How many other times? How much time should Congress spend on this?
As the chairman of the committee, I can tell you, I was the one that had to try and come up with the money for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, Obamacare, all education, all labor programs. And so I was responsible for a budget of about $800 billion. I think I know the budget pretty well. I can tell you, it is not going to survive. It will fail under its own weight. And you're seeing problem after problem. Now they've given exemptions to large corporations, but they're not willing to do it for individuals. It's a fiasco. And my own senator, Max Baucus, said it's a train wreck, and he was one of the sponsors, the crafters of the legislation.
What about
and he
people with
admitted
pre-existing conditions?
That it's a train wreck.
What about people with pre-existing?
What about what? Each one of those can be addressed. We put proposals forward when I was in Congress for association health care plans, for allowing the opportunity to trade across state lines.
Do you agree with the pre-existing
under
conditions
26? And so there are things within the health care reform that needed to be done, and we were working on those. But the proposal that was passed when the Democrats had control of both the House and the Senate and the presidency will not work.
Well, we'll have you back to continue this discussion. It's fascinating and obviously continues on Capitol Hill tonight. It's good to see you. Thank you very much, Mr. Rehberg. Well, Americans expressed their